In the last video, we have learned how to remove the silence from a video, which we uploaded to a Google Drive. And then once the silence are removed, how to generate captions. Now, the third point is the interesting one, which is the AI, where we are going to determine what are the timestamps for this video, and then where we can add some zooms and some b-rolls. So that is an interesting part. So let's get started with it. So as you know, in our last workflow process, we see that there is a SRT file here, right? So let me copy this, and so this is our SRT file, which tells from which second to which second what is going on the video, right? So that's pretty amazing. So now what we have to do is we have to get all these information into an AI and feed it out. So we're gonna get an AI agent, and we are going to do is we are going to feed this agent with some, we have to connect this AI agent with a model. So let's connect with, we will use any free models available at the moment. So let's say Google Gemma. Yeah, that sounds good. I've already attached my Open Router account here. That's good. And then in the AI agent itself, this is where I'm going to add system message, and in the system message, or maybe we could just say source for prompt defined below, and this is going to be our prompt, and then we don't need this one. So this is going to be our prompt, and in the prompt, we are going to pass on the information from this node here. So what are we going to do? We are going to make it as an expression so that we have this as well. So you are as a social media expert. Here is the SRT file, and then this is the SRT file. But I don't think so it's going to work because the AI doesn't have access to it. So what we have to do is we have to first download this SRT file. So we can do that with an HTTPS request and then get it from here and just say like this. And hopefully that will down the SRT file. And then once this is downloaded, let me actually run it. This is how it is downloaded. We send this data here. Now what we have to do is we have to tell this agent that the API which generates the SRT, what we need to do is we need to add some zooms in the place, right? So in order to find out where the zoom needs to be added, we need to tell the AI that there is a zoom API, and this is the definition of that zoom API. So in order to add a zoom and exit the zoom, we need this format of the payload, right? So let's say that we have an API which helps us add zoom in and zoom that. We need to send a payload to this API in below format. So we will provide the format, and the format would be this. So analyze the timestamps above and create the payload for segment and return in this format below. There you go. And what we need is we just need this bit here, right? This is the bit we need as a response. So I think this is what we are looking for as an output from this AI. And then once that output comes in, we will be going forward and then adding the zoom. So let me run this and see if it works. Okay, so we have received a response, and this is the output, and it did actually responded with this output. So this looks like this, but I think we do not need anything else other than this format, right? Do not respond anything below. Yeah. Let's rerun it and then see if it does work. Okay, so now it is responding the zoom parts, right? So that's pretty cool. So what we need to do is we need to remove this \n. So what we are going to do is we are going to add a code node here, JavaScript maybe, and then potentially what we need to do is have this output here, input, and then let's say timestamps, and then get this sorted. So maybe in order to do that, let's ask Claude how we do it. So let's say this is the output. So let's copy the output completely here. On my Manhattan workflow, I need to create a JS code node, and I need to use so that this input, get converted into puts a payload for my next API call. So let's see what it does. I think it should do the justified thing. So we're going to copy this and we're going to go back to our input, and then it says cannot read the property. So maybe I can just replace this because it does ask to replace, right? So let's replace this with this, and hopefully now it should do the job. So because every time I run the execute workflow, it runs through the whole process. What I'm going to do, I'm going to disconnect this from here, and then here the input, I'm going to add, let's say, a trigger, manual trigger, something like that, just so that it doesn't. And then settings and set mode data with this so that it has all the information, and then it just runs from here. So as you know that this is how it is outputting, and then if I run this, just run this much, and then it shows the problem to us. So what it's saying is unexpected token here. So what we could do is we could take this to our cloud and then say that this code is throwing error. Make it more robust to handle any, because this input is come AI response. Let's see what it does. Okay, so it added some more code. So let's do that. Let's update it here and then execute. There you go. Perfect. You get the perfect output. So now what we need to do is we need to say another flow, which is getting very big. So this is going to be, so what I'm going to do is just to make sure, because it's visible to everyone, this here, right? Just to make sure that it's visible to everyone. And I'm going to copy this bit here again and then put it here. And this one would be adding zooms, right? Now there are a couple of things here, a couple of challenges. One is the output coming from here needs to go one here in the download SRT, get these things done, and then the other one is the same output where we had this file needs to come and then feed it into this here. So what we could do is we could merge both of these outputs in a way that it comes to this. So what we could do is add a merge all possible combination here, and then have this and this here. Now what does it do is it is going to become the input for our next, it is going to become the input for our adding zoom. And I think in order to have this also properly done, what we could do is we could directly connect this part to the SRT in this our example, and then in the merge we directly connect it here, and then we say combine all possible way settings, return fail. So basically until the output of this and the output of this arrives, it will sit idea. So that's exactly what we want to do. So considering that this throws the output, so what we need to do is we need to disconnect this and then potentially connect this here. So let's make it a little bit better aligned. There you go. Much better looking. And then this will become add zooms. Perfect. So add zoom will be from here to here. And then this one is just our SRT flow. All right, perfect. So let's rename this one to adding zooms to the video. And then for that, we will just go and then copy the zooms URL back, put it here. The credential will be the same. And then in the payload section, what we need to do is we need to just copy this payload and then go back. And then as we can see, we can copy paste it here. Now this is the segment section which we need to basically replace with what we are getting from the merge section, right? So if I merge it for both, then it would come and then get me the merge section. So I'm guessing that because we removed this pinned item here, I have to sort of like run the whole workflow so that we get the data and then we update all the points here. So let's do that. So now it started running. I'll pause here. Okay, so the workflow worked, and this is the output. So we have the URL and SRT file, and then the segment section. So we have everything, whatever we need for the next step here, right? So what I'm going to do is I am going to pin this up so that we don't have to rerun the whole project here. And then I'm going to use this in here. So in place of the URL, I am going to copy this. So we have the previous node, and then in place of the segments, what I'm going to do is I am going to replace this in this place. So now we have exact JSON object, right? So let's execute this, and this is how it looks like after executing. So now it has created the job, and then once the job is created, it is gonna go through adding zooms to it, and then we'll wait for a while and then check the status, and then again, the same process. So let's connect the disconnected nodes here again back, and we also need the done here. We need to unpin it, and then this is how it looks. So at the end of executing all these subflows and this big giant workflow, what needs to happen is we need to have an end video with captions as well as zooms in the middle. Okay, so before just running, I'm gonna just update a little bit more here in the payload for the captions. I'm gonna make that font size to 120 and padding top to, let's say, 90. Padding bottom doesn't care. So considering that was working before, let's run all of it, and then I'll show you how the end result look like. All right, so it has finished processing everything, and now we have a final video here which should have all the things. So it should have captions, it have cuts and everything. So it's 2 minutes 09. Zoomed in, zoomed out. Right now, it has 0, and you see the captions are cut. So what we could do is we could actually recreate the captions on the video later on instead of putting it before the video. So that is how easy it is. So I think the next step here is to add the B-roll on the video. That would be really, really interesting. So let's continue the process.